Alright, guys, we are back for what will probably be the last installment of my Cabernet playthrough, because at the end of the last video, we finished Chapter 7, and then there was a time skip to the year 1999. So I can only assume that this is going to be the epilogue, but we will see. So let's jump right back into it. Da-da-da-da.
Hello? Ah, and a happy New Year's Eve to you too. Of course. I'll pass it on. Thank you. No, Dr. Volkov. You gave me your word, didn't you? No work talk tonight. Only holiday joy. Yes. Of course, helping vampires build a sun tolerance is a very important cause. But the research will still be there after the holidays. That's better. That's quite all right, Doctor. Speak soon. That man would work himself into the grave if he could. No more work tonight. I need to take my mind off it. Among other things. What's on TV? Paulina. I think I took good care of her over the years. I still maintain that till this day, it is the most beautiful doll the world has ever seen. Not counting Matilda, of course.
Whatever happened to Matilda?
I don't usually care much for awards, but this one feels special. It's the highest honor given by the Medical Academy for groundbreaking contributions to hematology. All that blood research the doctor and I used to do really paid off. Took decades to conduct, but luckily, I had no shortage of time. Had to use an alias, of course. Can't keep my real name on the records. Otherwise, over the decades, people would catch on. Especially now with the internet real. Anyway, the name may be fake, but the lives we helped save were very real. All of Anastasia's lessons weren't in vain. I'm glad I stuck with it. With a little practice, even the least gifted student would become decent in 100 years.
It's true.
I may have not taken it much further than that, but I'm proud to say that many a guest has been entertained with this particular instrument. My dear pumpkin. I simply can't imagine my life without you.
Little vampire kitty.
We made the right call turning you into a vampire cat, didn't we? An appraiser friend of mine recently looked at this painting. Turns out, over the decades, it appreciated in value and is now worth a small fortune. Don't think I'll ever sell it, though. Means too much to me. I heard vampires get quite attached to their possessions as they get older. Guess I'm not immune to that. Home sweet home. Over a century has passed, and I still can't get used to being this well off.
think there's anything else to interact with. So let's turn the television on.
Well, Oksana, only a few hours left till we get to celebrate the much-anticipated year 2000.
The new year is flying fast towards us, and what better present for the nation than the first annual address of the newly elected President Chernov?
Absolutely. It's been a tumultuous year for our country with the tragic, sudden passing of the former head of state. Luckily, Anatoly Chernov promptly took matters into his own hands, first as acting president and now as president-elect after the results of the official emergency referendum.
That's right, Maxim. President Chernov has already demonstrated his firm and efficient governing style. In his short time in office, he's issued orders to reinforce the defensive military budget and has also introduced a zero-tolerance policy towards illegal immigration.
Finally, our people will have the much-desired stability back into their lives.
Can't wait to hear what he has to say at midnight.
Me too. Say, Oksana, what are you going to wish for when the clock strikes 12?
Well,
Fools.
Looks like your ride is here and already causing a nuisance. That bastard woke me up from such a beautiful dream.
And what was the dream?
That all the annoying drivers in the world were dead, obviously.
Right. Of course.
Hey, are you all right?
Yeah.
You know you don't have to do this, right? Besides, it's not going anywhere. Why don't you come to the party with me tonight? Should be good fun. Arben sent us a case of that delicious vintage Cabernet.
I admit, it's very tempting, but I'm sorry. I can't. I have to do this on my own, and I have to do it now. I don't know why, but I feel that tomorrow won't be the same.
Fine. You've always been a stubborn one.
Look who's talking.
You know you can call me any time, right? If you're in any trouble at all, just send a word and I'll tear them apart before they can say Happy New Year.
I bet you would, but I'll be fine, I promise. I'm pretty tough myself.
That you are.
I better get going before the car leaves without me.
Tell him if he wakes me up again, I'll curse his kin to the 5th generation.
I will. Love you, my queen.
Love you too, princess.
Getting close now.
So, here I am again. Good to be back. It's hard to believe the last time I set foot here was around a century ago. Vampires generally aren't allowed to stay in the same place for more than 20 years. Otherwise, people start asking questions. Small towns have surprisingly long memories, but you can usually come back once it makes sense for you to pass as your own offspring. Nowadays, they call permission to stay a vampire visa. Higher society granted me one for this town decades ago, but I just haven't been ready until now. I'm not sure why, but I feel like I owe my old friends a visit in this new millennium, even if it is at a cemetery.
Interesting.
will be 200 coins.
I thought I asked you to stop by the field.
Sorry, lady. No dice. Too much snow.
Fair enough. There you go. And here is something from Grandfather Frost on top.
Seriously? Thank you, really. Much appreciated.
Sure thing. Happy New Year's Eve.
You too. If you don't mind me asking, why did you choose to come here? This place is, well, it's a bit of a hole. No offense.
None taken. Trust me, I know. Honestly, I'm not so sure myself. I used to live here. I guess I just wanted to walk down memory lane.
Well, good luck. And hey, if you need a ride back, just call this number.
Thank you. This monument was built to commemorate the brave men and women who saved dozens of lives and prevented further disaster during the town hall tragedy. That night indeed became an important one in the town's history. Due to Yvonne's bomb being defused, the rescue operation was swift and simple, and those who weren't already dead or dying all made it back home. I wish the sign mentioned Gosha by name. She was the true hero in all this. Without her, just like it says there, the outcome could have been a disaster for the ages. Since so many of the horrors beneath Town Hall were vampire-related. Shortly after the rescue operation, the higher society sent a hypnotist crew, a well-trained, powerful group of vampires. Of course, there wasn't any enchantment strong enough to completely remove those memories. However, they did manage to alter them enough to convince the humans that what they saw was all standard prison torture practices. Horrible and illegal, yes, but nothing beyond the depthless depravity of mortal beings. The corpse chamber and draining floor, no more than a gruesome dream that faded with the sunrise. The infamous Savely Skortsov, the purportedly non-corrupt mayor of town, ended up being a ruthless sociopath. The fact that Gosha defused Yvonne's bomb meant two things for him. One, that the building didn't crumble on top of his own head after the explosion, meaning that he survived the night. And two, that when I took the townsfolk to help free the prisoners, he was taken by surprise and captured. As one would imagine, given Savely's deeds, he spent the rest of his life behind bars. Perhaps his greatest legacy is that he became somewhat of a folklore figure. Mothers in this area often frighten their children by telling them that Bloody Savely will snatch them up if they don't behave. In contrast, the next mayor the town elected remained in his position for nearly a decade and was entirely inconsequential. During that whole time, he arguably did less to improve the town than Savely did in a few months. But then again, he didn't organize brutal murders beneath town property. Well, at least that we know of. The Countess, predictably, kept adjusting with the times and growing her fortune. After the Cabernet producing facility at the town hall was destroyed, she took a loss and had to pivot. However, when the doctor terminated their contract, she never ended up finding a decent replacement. It didn't take her too long to bounce back, though. More partners came forward soon enough, and eventually other business opportunities presented themselves. Some say the Countess is now running one of the biggest mafia networks in the country.
What track?
It's only rumor, of course, but in all honesty, I would certainly not put something like that past her. Victoria still works for the Countess. Say what you want about her, but she's a loyal one. It clearly didn't go unnoticed by Countess Orlova, and, albeit unofficially, Victoria is widely considered to be her number 2. They say she leads the departments that are heavy on the dirty work, since the Countess trusts her. Rumors, of course, but rings true, doesn't it? What can I say? There's never a dull night with Elisa. There aren't many who have the privilege of being friends with this mysterious creature, so I'm proud to be one of the lucky ones. How many vampires can say that they've seen the sunrise after being turned? I am yet to meet another but her. Only her unique blend of intelligence, passion, and a touch of madness could achieve such results. Her technique, however, brought about much more than just her famous sunrise paintings, which I must say are a huge hit among the vampiric community. I often use a version of it in my clinic for both vampire and human anesthetic purposes, and have helped introduce this practice throughout the vampiric medical community. When her vampiric visa in town expired, sadly, Elisa had to abandon her hookah bar. Such is the fate of most vampiric enterprises. However, people remembered it fondly years after its closure and told stories of legendary nights spent there. The tales grew with embellishments until no one knew what was true, like any good story eventually does. There were vampires who attempted to recreate Elisa's success by building their own such establishments, but no one was able to quite capture her same type of magic. Still, wherever she goes, she manages to start a new venture and turn it into something special. To selfishly put this all aside for a moment, I'm just so incredibly happy we're together. Who knew that I would fall for someone like her? But then again, there really isn't anyone quite like her, is there?
Doesn't seem so. Arbin.
While I still lived in town, Arbin stayed here for as long as her vampiric visa allowed. We had our fair share of adventures together, and to this day remain close friends. When she finally left, for a while she tried to maintain her establishment from afar. But alas, literary salons went out of fashion, and eventually they built a regular housing project in its place. Arbin overcame her internal struggles about siring and ended up taking several fledglings under her wing. Unsurprisingly, each and every one of them is well and thriving. She often credits me for that, but really, she's always cared for the newly turned, just like the moment I first met her. Arbin eventually moved abroad, but still sends me a case of delicious red every year.
Let's see, where else do we have?
I'm happy to say that my research grant did wonders for Dr. Volkov. With his newfound financial independence, his blood addiction subsided, and soon enough his own research was back on track. Thanks to his many decades of hard work, Cabernet became vastly more accessible, and bloodlust and dependency risks were reduced greatly. I can't imagine how many lives have been saved, humans and vampires alike. Of course, not everyone in the vampiric world took to the new formula. Many claim it tastes inferior and keep to the old methods. Perhaps I'm being optimistic, but I still hope that it will become the new norm in the next century or so. As for the doctor himself, he, of course, didn't stop there. Currently, He is working on a solution that will allow vampires to withstand sunrise. Imagine that. Sounds like a fairy tale to me, but knowing the doctor, honestly, I'm betting that he'll get there one day. I just hope he doesn't exhaust himself to his final death in the process.
That sounds like the doctor.
To many people's surprise, Anastasia and Evgeny managed to fix their marital problems. After the miraculous outcome of the duel, Evgeny got himself together and quit drinking once and for all. Seems that the key to their happiness was in mixing up the traditional roles. I enjoyed many a dinner with the two of them and their adorable children, and I must say, Evgeny was a much better cook than Anastasia ever was. Furthermore, they managed to find true artistic harmony, using their combined talents to create something beautiful. Not even a year after the events of that fateful summer, they finished an opera with Anastasia's music and Evgeny's lyrics. It was a great triumph, and nowadays, rightfully considered a classic. They both enjoyed many individual successes in poetry and music, and lived in the same place their whole lives. Anastasia told me that after having children, the house never seemed empty to her again. She did, however, insist on redecorating it entirely. Of course, with the exception of the garden, which was perfect from the very start. Not long after our chat on the roof, Anastasia finally managed to finish her cello piece. The girl in the wine dress, she called it. I think I know who might have served as inspiration. The song was a breakout success, but it was only the beginning. Soon enough, she was one of the most renowned composers in the country. Anastasia lived a long and fulfilling life, and on top of all that, she never forgot her students. With her newly earned fortune, she rebuilt her music school, which is now one of the most prestigious establishments in Eastern Europe.
Wow.
It's also famous for its funding program for low-income students, allowing thousands of talented musicians to find their calling. To this day, her work is still studied and played all around the world, inspiring people decades after her passing. To many people's surprise, Anastasia and Evgeny managed to fix their marital problems. After the miraculous outcome of the duel, Evgeny got himself together. Seems that the key to their happiness was in I enjoyed many a dinner with the two of them and their adorable children. Evgeny was a much better cook. Furthermore, not even a year after the events of that fateful summer, they finished an opera. It was a great. They both enjoyed many individual. Anastasia told me that after she did.
Good for them. Well, the vodka bar.
Kirill, it's been a while since I thought about you. For as long as I stayed in town, nothing really seemed to change in his life. All the same tricks and schemes. And after that, needless to say, we didn't keep in touch. Call me naive, but I always felt there was more to him than met the eye. Perhaps I would have learned more if I got to know him better, but of course it's a little late for that now.
Yeah, I never really did much with Kirill. Maybe for another playthrough. Oh, I can turn into a bat. That's cool.
What do you know? The store is still here.
If you're looking for champagne, vodka, or flowers, don't bother. They're all out.
Is that right?
Well, why else do you think I'm still open? All the demand and no other supply. That's good business.
Happy New Year's Eve. The bouquet over there, please.
Cutting it a bit late with the presents, aren't you? You'd better hurry home, or you'll miss the president's speech.
Thanks, but I don't think I'll be watching this year. Not my cup of tea.
What? Why not? Don't you care about your own country? See, that's the problem with your generation. You hold nothing sacred.
Oh, really? And what generation do you think that is?
Generation of spoiled brats. You've seen nothing, done nothing, and fought for nothing.
If you only knew.
You have all the freedom in the world, but no, you just complain and demand more. Show some respect and be grateful for once.
Are you finished? Listen, I'm not who you think I am, but I don't expect you to understand that. Mark my words, I've seen this happen to our country time and time again. At this point, I feel it in my bones, like how some with arthritis can feel rain coming.
What are you babbling about, girl?
Every time there was hope, a person like that man came to crush it. No one has found a way to break the cycle yet, so, of course, I've come to not expect much. All I'm asking is, think and care about your fellow man. Then, make your own choices.
How much have you had to drink?
Enough for a lifetime. Trust me. Happy upcoming New Year. It's moments like these that I regret making fun of the hussar for smoking.
Are you all right, dear? Hope you don't mind me asking. You look out of sorts.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Do you have a place to go tonight? It's New Year's Eve, after all. No good being by yourself.
Thank you. I do have some old friends I'm visiting.
Oh, that's lovely. Just lovely. You know, I overheard what you were saying back there.
Did I get carried away?
Goodness, no. I would have said the exact same thing. I was just like you when I was younger. Didn't let anyone walk over me.
I'm not as young as I look.
Let's talk again in 50 years, dear. See who's right about this.
Sounds good.
That Chernov, though, he's trouble, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just as we managed to turn this rusty ship around, they're pulling the wheel again. Still, all this time, I never lost hope. Not once. And you shouldn't either, dear.
Thank you. I think I needed to hear that today. You know, you remind me of an old friend of mine.
Friends, of course. Sorry for keeping you, dear. Your friends are probably wondering where you are.
Don't worry, they're quite a patient bunch nowadays.
Because they're dead.
Do you need any help carrying your bag?
Oh, no, bless you, dear. I live just around the corner.
Really? In the old apartment building?
That's the one. My great-aunt used to own it before the revolution, and I inherited it. I'm very lucky. It's apartment number 1. Stop by for a cup of tea sometime if you feel lonely. Have a wonderful year, dear.
Thank you. And you. Well, what do you know?
Alright, let's go to the graveyard. The church.
On the surface, nothing seemed to change all that much in Stefan's life, at least for a while. Same old cards, drinks, and revelry, and, of course, intrigue seemed to follow him everywhere he went. But in reality, everything turned upside down once we freed him from Count Orlov's magic contract. He actually ended up sending his resignation to the Countess via postcard from the Bahamas. Apparently, Elisa was there to witness her fit of rage, and according to her, it was a sight to behold. As much as I would have loved to see it myself, mostly I'm just happy for Stefan. He seemed like a whole new person ever since. I'm also looking forward to meeting his significant other. After all he's been through, for him to have another chance at love. Something tells me he might have finally found his new happy eternity.
Let's see what else is going on the rooftops. Oh. Quick action there, huh? Yeah, I don't suppose there's... and they put the monument there so you can't go back that way. But yeah, it looks like the church is being refinished or something. Which we never, I don't even know if you can... There must be a way to get in here. I just didn't figure out what it was because, wasn't the... I feel like there was the icon for, getting an invitation.
Locked. Can't blame them, really. I guess I'll just have to do it like in the good old days.
Can't go in here. I mean, I guess I'm done exploring. There's nothing else to... Can't go in there, I don't think. Can't go in there either. Yeah, I guess we're done exploring. Oh, wait, no. We can go inside. Apparently not. I'm pretty sure I have an invitation. Well, didn't the old lady invite me? She invited me in to have tea. Pretty sure.
To my relief, Demian was among the many lucky survivors who were rescued from the town hall dungeons. Perhaps even luckier, Demian never ended up on the lower levels of Savelli's underground prison. That left him relatively unscarred, and soon enough he seemed to be back to his old playful self. One thing did seem to change, though. After the events of that night, I certainly noticed him working in the fields much more often. It's hard to find a silver lining to what transpired, but I suppose scaring Demian into a working man may have been one of them. Gosha proved herself a true hero by disarming the bomb prior to the attack on Town Hall. Many assumed that after Yvonne, their golden-throated leader, went to prison, the local revolutionary cause would fall apart. But, yet again, brave Gosha came to the rescue. She assembled what was left of the group and pivoted towards peaceful change. Ultimately, she turned it into a legitimate political party that existed for decades after her eventual passing. During the years she led the movement, she helped steer the country away from many a tragedy, although, of course, plenty couldn't be avoided. Ah, sweet Roman. He ended up traveling around the world at least 3 times in his lifetime. He managed to connect with all kinds of people and hear the legends of their homes and ancestors. It wasn't just for his pleasure either. He published several tomes on world folklore, which were translated to dozens of languages. He loved the people around him, and he shared that love in his favorite way, through his books and stories. I'm happy to report that Petya is still alive and well. He is, of course, still bound to Matilda's body, but at this point, I think even if someone offered him a different form, he'd turn it down. He may have never made it as a great salesman, but in a way, the fact that he no longer interacted with customers in his new body only did him good. Petya opened a small doll boutique, and it turns out, when someone else was selling his dolls, people absolutely loved them. He never took it personally, though. Petya was just happy that the dolls found good homes. Of course, to open a business, he needed a human for the paperwork, and who happened to step up but his old friend Elisa. She was the face of his company for quite some time, during which they became the best of pals again. Human or vampire, that's something I never imagined happening in a million years. But life is just full of surprises, isn't it?
Well, at least now we know what happened to Petya.
Oleg and I never became close, but at least till I left town he kept running the shop and seemed to be doing fine. Although, I'm sure he would have preferred to keep his hand. I always felt a sense of gratitude in him for sparing him. In retrospect, I think I'm glad I didn't end up taking a life for an old grudge, albeit a very heavy one. I wonder if the Rusalka is still out there somewhere. Did she ever forgive him? I didn't know exactly what to expect when I told Gosha about the bomb, but she sure came through that fateful night. As I learned later, Yvonne devised a backup plan in case the bomb didn't end up being delivered. But what he didn't plan was on his right-hand woman deactivating the explosive before handing it over to him. When the townsfolk saw what happened and understood the scale of the tragedy that was barely avoided, Yvonne was swiftly thrown into jail. I didn't hear whether he was ever pardoned, but I do know for certain that he never returned to politics. I only knew Faina for a short time, but somehow the memory of her has never faded. She meant a lot to me. She still does. Rest in peace, dear Faina.
Tropheme.
Tropheme took our last talk seriously. He took his time to think things through, kept away from the bottle. He saved some money, and then one day simply went and resigned from the Countess's service. He wasn't lying about his fisherman skills either. With the seed money I gave him, he managed to start a quite successful fishing stand at the town market. From what I can remember, he ended up living a long and happy life doing something he loved. Should we all be so lucky? I always feel a touch of melancholy when I think of how Marusa's life turned out. Don't get me wrong, she lived a long and full life and was an exemplary worker and an excellent parent to a bunch of smart and stubborn children, just like herself. I may have meant well when I advised her to temper her expectations, but I always felt that the glow in her eyes got dimmer ever since. Marusa did choose her path herself, and by anyone's standards, she made the best of it, but I just can't help but think there was something more in store for her, and that I could have played a part.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to give her. At the time, I didn't. I think that's everybody. Oh, we have to talk about Kolya, I'm sure. Guess we are ready to move on.
I did what I came for. I suppose it's time to go home. Oh! Huh. Strange. Snakes usually brumate over the winter. Their metabolism slows down, they stop eating, and hide out underground till it's warmer. Nobody must have come here for ages. I bet I scared it out of its hiding spot. Slithering back to the shadows. How the mighty have fallen. Oof. The church sure has seen better days. What does the sign say?
Keep out. This building has been deemed dangerous due to a snake infestation and is hereby condemned. Demolition of the structure and consequent building of a public swimming pool is planned to begin this spring. Department of Health.
Condemned? Wait a minute. So, it's not technically a church anymore, and I don't need an invitation. Does that mean I can enter it?
Looks that way.
Wow. It's been over a century since I've been inside a church. I'd forgotten how it looks, what it smells like. I never quite made up my mind how I felt about religion before I was turned, and then it didn't feel like I could anymore. But somehow it just feels good to be here right now. Damn it. The Morozov family. Minus father and me, of course. I remember how, even before I was allowed to touch matches, in church, Mother would let me light candles for people we knew. I loved doing it, partly because of the excitement of the dangerous forbidden flame, but it was also more than that. Although I never knew if there was someone or something listening on the other side. It felt important. Why don't I light some candles now? I may not get another chance. I've got enough. There. It's not easy being an older sister, but being a younger brother must have also had its challenges. And Kolya. Poor Kolya. If only things worked out a little differently, maybe he would still be around. It was my fault. I miss him. Very much. Rest in peace, dear brother. People tend to say only good things about the dead, but we all knew Father was far from perfect. Slowly but surely, drinking turned him from a kind and loving person into a monster. And I know more than most what it means to be one. I wish this story had a happy ending, but Mom couldn't take it any longer and left the house a year after the summer I was turned. Her brother, Uncle Mitko, took her in, and Father didn't take it so well. His debts kept growing, and so did his drinking. He died from cirrhosis 5 years later. I often wonder if there was something else we could have done to help him, but the truth is, he made his own choices. Still, he was my father, and I knew that underneath his sickness, he loved me. And I loved him too. Of course, according to higher society laws, we're never supposed to get in touch with family, but I bent the rules just a little. I got into some trouble, of course, but that's a whole other story. Rest in peace, dear mother and father. Funny thing, for over a century I've lived so many lives. Different names, cities, friends, and enemies. I've seen more people live and die than one can count, or care to remember. But even after all this time, I still think about my family. They never faded away. I could have done things differently, and every day I have to live with my choices and my mistakes. Some of them are heavy and bury themselves deep in my gut. From what I hear, every vampire receives a keepsake like that sooner or later. Maybe that's the true payment for eternal life. Or maybe it's a part of any life, really. I don't know if they ever fully go away. If I'm honest, I don't think so. But they remind me to do things differently, to be better. And when I do, sometimes I feel human again. Last candle left. I think I know what I'll light it for. I've seen people in this country go through so much suffering. Wars, revolutions, tyranny, famine. So much has happened, and yet so little has changed. Some people say this country is cursed, hopeless. I don't know if I believe that. I've seen fates crushed by a short sentence. I've seen lives saved by a simple embrace. No matter what they say, a person's choice can make a difference, so you might as well do your best. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll all make enough of the good ones. And for now, there is hope. Demons may be hereditary, but we are in charge of them.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Well. So that was Cabernet. So yeah, we'll take a moment to watch the credits here. All of these people that worked on this game, it was I think they deserve their credit for it. All right. So that's Cabernet. I'm gonna assume that was probably one of the better endings that you can get, based on your actions. I feel like if I was to go back and do like a evil playthrough, things would turn out a lot different. But you know, I went in blind for the most part. I didn't really look up what to do with a lot of the characters and how it would end, with the exception of the cat, because I knew as soon as I met the cat, I wanted to keep him around. So I did look up a guide of all the locations where the cat would be for that particular quest, but other than that, I kind of went blind with it, with the decisions and stuff, and just kind of went with what I felt like either Lisa would have done or myself would have done in the situations for those particular moral quandaries and character arcs. There's some stuff I wish I would have done different, like Marusa. I wish I had the money at that time to give to her, and if I had gone and collected the last painting piece before I went to go talk to her, I would have had enough money to do it, but obviously I didn't know at the time. I maybe would have tried to end the Rusalka story a little bit different. I probably wouldn't kill Oleg. I would probably do that the same way I did, but I probably wouldn't try to lie to her and tell her that I killed him. I would probably just be like, here's his hand. You need to learn to forgive. But yeah, other than that, that was a pretty solid playthrough, I think. I will continue to play this game to try to see some of the other pathways and unlock some more of the achievements, because I felt like I didn't really get the game figured out until like chapter 3 or chapter 4, and then I really understood the mechanics and the systems and stuff. So if I go back and play it again, things will go a lot smoother. And yeah, it's if you like this, I didn't see or do everything, so don't treat this as like, oh well, I watched a guy play it on YouTube, so there's no reason for me to play it myself. But because my understanding is there are lots of different endings for different things, and the chapter 8 epilogue is different depending on the actions that you take during the other chapters. So yeah, we didn't see everything there is to see in this game. So if you liked what you saw here with this series, totally recommend going and picking this up. It's on Steam. I got it for, I think it goes for $19.99 US dollars. It's not been out very long, so I don't think it's gone on sale yet, but even at $20, like it's worth it. Like I mean, you can just look at the playlist and see how much playtime I've had on it, just for recording for this series. And like I said, I'm gonna go back and play it again and do things a little bit differently. But yeah, if $20, it's worth it. If you can catch it on sale, it would be even more worth it, especially if you like this type of like narrative exploration, point and click sort of gameplay, which I've always really been into. But yeah, that's our conclusion. If you're still hanging around, if you're still watching, I appreciate it. If you watched the entire series start to finish, I very much appreciate that. I don't know what my next series will be yet. I might take a break from filming, recording series of gameplay. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, until next time, take it easy.